Hello, how you doing? This is Jeffrey Lee Folschinsky, your legal advisor of Cranial Chaos, and I'm pleading no contest to being over the moon as I welcome you back to another episode of Meaningless Minutia, a show that sews the pants off itself and then complains it's cold. And with that nonsensical knowledge knocker thrown out there, let's get down to this week's question. Did you know a kidnapper once sued his hostages for escaping? Now I can't imagine the horror of someone entering my home and holding me hostage, but then to make a daring escape only afterwards to be presented with a lawsuit by the kidnapper is truly a head-scratcher. Believe it or not, this is what happened to the Raleighs after the kidnapper, Jesse Dimmick, was apprehended. You see, in 2009, Mr. Dimmick, who was running from the police, busted into the Raleighs' home in Topeka, Kansas, and held them hostage at knife point. Now his story is that while he did bust into their homes and had a knife, he quickly explained that someone was after him, most likely the police, and thought that his life was in danger. He said if they would hide him, he would pay them an undisclosed amount of money for their trouble. The Raleighs, who were worried he also had a gun, played along, bringing out snacks and even putting on a movie for him to watch. When Mr. Dimmick fell asleep, the Raleighs quietly exited their home and then called for help. The police showed up and arrested Mr. Dimmick, who is now serving time in jail, and you'd think that would be the end of our story. But you'd be wrong. Mr. Dimmick decided to sue the Raleighs for breach of an oral contract, stating, as a result of the Raleighs breaking their agreement, he suffered an injury during his capture which almost killed him, and would like the Raleighs to have to pay him $235,000 for both physical and emotional damage. The Raleighs claimed there wasn't any such contract, stating they were only amusing Mr. Dimmick's offer because they feared for their life. The judge dismissed the lawsuit on grounds that for there to be a legally binding agreement, both parties would have had to agree to a specific amount, but even if this would have happened, no agreement made under duress is enforceable in the court of the law. Which basically means, if you're trying to make a deal while holding someone at knife point, this is a non-starter in the eyes of the law. Mr. Dimmick is now serving an 11-year sentence and is, of all things, fighting a lawsuit from the Raleighs for the amount of $75,000 for emotional damages. Now something tells me they might have a stronger case than the kidnapper did. Okay, I can feel the mental anguish lawsuit being formed against this show, so I best just stop there. But before I let the gavel come down, let me leave you with this wallop of wisdom. A woman once won a lawsuit against a weatherman for predicting the wrong weather, which I'd like to point out that these type of lawsuits are probably the reason we get so many jury notices these days. Hey, I'm just saying. And with that, I'm Jeffrey Lee Folschinsky saying, adios, amigos.